think we shouldn't aspire to or worry about, we as Westerners, whether we can be real Tibetan Buddhist practitioners. Because if by that you mean really exactly like a Tibetan, well, there's no possibility of that. We have these terms, which are perfectly good terms: Tibetan Buddhism, Mongolian Buddhism, Zen, we have Chan, and so forth. And so, in a way, nobody but a Tibetan can practice Tibetan Buddhism, as in really nobody but an American can practice American Buddhism, not even Norwegians or Germans. If you're German, I'm sorry, you have no choice. It's going to be German Buddhism, not in any bad sense, but you can't simply jump out of your skin. And I kind of thought I could, or at least aspired to, when I was in my 20s. I would often say I was born at the age of 20, because that's when I started immersing myself in Buddhist culture, living in monasteries and so forth. But of course it's not true. In my case, it was 20 years living in the West before I went east. Those 20 years don't evaporate. They have, of course, very deep influence on you for the rest of your life. And I know people like Matthieu Ricard and Tenzin Palmo and so forth who've lived for decades in India, Nepal. They're outstanding practitioners. But Tenzin Palmo is not Indian, and she's not Tibetan. And Matthieu Ricard is still very French. And I mean that in only a positive way. But even when he speaks Tibetan, it's a French accent. It's inescapable. And why not? So is he a good practitioner, an outstanding practitioner? Definitely. Tenzin Palmo, highest regard. But they're not just practicing Tibetan Buddhism. In her case, it's English Tibetan Buddhism. Matthieu is definitely French Tibetan Buddhism. And inescapably, mine is American. I've lived many years in Europe, so it's kind of Euro-American Tibetan Buddhism. And so there's no problem with that. And we should feel at ease with that, because how long was it, 1,200 years ago when Buddhism was just coming into Tibet, how long was it before they started saying, we're practicing Tibetan Buddhism? They were practicing a foreign import that gradually over time took on more and more Tibetan characteristics. As Buddhism is taking on characteristics from the West, some of them really getting diluted, commercialized, commodified, polluted, contaminated with all kinds of rubbish that we're throwing into it. And on the other hand, really taking on a new evolution that is still authentically Buddhist, but is also authentically in the 21st century, not trying to emulate Tibetans living in the 19th century. Because no matter how hard we try, we will always fail.